All right, folks, just pulled into the local Cinemark. We're going to go watch M3GAN 2.0. I don't know what to expect. I've heard it takes a Terminator 2 approach, meaning it just kind of changes the genre. No longer pure horror, maybe more of an action movie. That's interesting, but I guess it depends on how they handle it, right? I'm curious. I'm sort of excited. Not really. We'll see what happens.
2 hours later.
I just got out of the theater like I kind of expected. That is a completely different vibe from the first, man. No horror hardly whatsoever. Maybe a few images towards the end, and then the fear of AI is kind of horrifying. But yeah, they shifted vibes, they shifted tones. It's overly comedic, way more comedic than I remember the first one being. Granted, I've only watched it one time when it first came out, so maybe I'm wrong. But it was kind of funny. I had some chuckles. Very over the top, overly ridiculous at times. M3GAN is really funny in moments, but then at other times just kind of going overboard with the same type of joke. And I didn't fully vibe with the experience, but I don't mind the tonal change as much as hardcore fans will that love the first. I don't know how that's going to affect the box office. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but all in all, it was fine. I didn't hate it. M3GAN 2.0. Did I call the first one M3GAN? Because that says M3GAN, which would be a great title for the third one. I'm just saying.
What the hell is this? You put me in this plastic Teletubby?
Prove you can be trusted, maybe we'll give you an upgrade.
And so, set 2 years after the first, Gemma resorts to resurrecting her infamous creation in order to take down Amelia, who's this military-grade weapon built by this defense contractor who stole M3GAN's technology, blah, blah, blah. Inevitably, it becomes a bunch of mumbo-jumbo. The military's after the technology that she created, but now there's a bad AI doll versus the good AI doll. It's not a doll. Regardless, this is not a horror film. And I said in the reaction, this is so far out of the realm, out of the bubble that the first M3GAN was set in. I thought that movie was a big missed opportunity to be rated R. I understand why they went PG-13, but there were so many moments that they could have really leaned into. And I feel the same way about this film. The very first kill that we see is an amazing kill, but we don't actually get to see it. Now, obviously, there's something horrifying about showing it the way that they did, but at the same time, I'm thinking, oh, I've seen it that way. I want to see the. Is that weird for me to say that? I don't.
What is wrong with you?
It's like the Chucky thing, right? The more gruesome, the better. But again, this is not a horror movie. It's an action sci-fi spy comedy. Did I say all of the genres? There are so many genres at play that are way more prominent than horror is in this film, and that shift is going to throw a lot of people off. In the vein of Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, from Alien to Aliens, there are so many franchises that do this, and it pays off in the long run. Now, as someone who thought the first one was fine and fun, and there was enough to it that kept me invested, and it's a very baseline premise, but one that was executed fairly well, so I enjoyed it, right? But I never went back and revisited it and all the memes and TikToks. That was cool, and they took advantage of that in the marketing for this movie, but a lot of people are also upset, at least people I'm seeing on Twitter, they're always upset that this is a completely different vibe, but again, franchises have done that before, and sometimes it's cool. M3GAN 2.0, or M3GAN 2.0, is a fairly fun film. Lots of F's there. And I believe M3GAN, the title character, is a big reason why. Not only the injection of humor every now and then that did work quite well for me, there are times where she becomes a little much. There's one joke that carries on a little too long later on in the movie, but ultimately it becomes funny. I just feel like the wavelength required for audiences to be on to enjoy this movie is one that I was trying my best, but I couldn't help but to continue to feel that this plot kept getting in the way of how much fun our characters, well, they're not having fun, but how much fun the performers are having with these characters. The comedy was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, and the action is really what I expected. I'm looking forward to the showdown between these two AI robots, and the idea of taking M3GAN's technology and adapting it to use in a way more powerful way, 3, 5, 10 times more powerful than the original M3GAN, is really cool. But at the end of the day, there are so many steps to getting us to that point. They're going down in a bunker, all these characters having to come together to try to figure out if they can even trust M3GAN or not, because M3GAN, well, she's still got that evil doll vibe to her, and there's something about her you don't know if you can trust her or not, but she's kind of been watching over our family for a little bit, and as soon as she shows up, they almost have to trust her a little bit. Again, throwing it back to that Terminator comparison, because that's literally so similar to how those movies operated. But this time around, you have this other AI program that seems very formidable. It's something that I personally wouldn't want to go up against. And even M3GAN's like, oh, I can't beat this.
M3GAN. We are screwed.
Once again, directed by Gerard Johnstone, and as different as the vibe is with this film, I could tell it's the same director, and that's a positive. Consistency is key, even when you're shifting the style as much as they do. And then you have Katie and Gemma returning. Katie, I like her, man. She's still a kid in so many ways, but she's constantly trying to be way more of an adult than she should be at that age, and sometimes that fails spectacularly, but at other times, there's still that connection between she and M3GAN that's awesome. Gemma, well, you know, there were some things about her that are very unlikable, to be honest. That said, Allison Williams still does a great job. Jermaine Clement is in this film, which was pretty funny. I didn't even know if it was him at first. And then you have the actress who's playing Amelia, Ivana Sakno, probably butchered her name, but she's from Ahsoka. And she's really good in Ahsoka. She has a villainous presence here. Ultimately, the idea of AI is absolutely the most horrifying thing about this movie for sure. Do they ever lean into the intricate nature of this story like maybe they could have to make it more interesting? No. And again, the plot is very generic. Points A, B, and C all hit, checking off all the notes that they have to check off. And this movie is a vibe, and like I said before, you've got to be on the same wavelength. There's a moment where M3GAN is showing sympathy and starts singing a song to Gemma, and it's supposed to be really funny. And I laughed. I'm like, okay, this is awkward, funny, but that was the moment when I knew I couldn't quite be on board with this movie as much as everyone else, because there's so many outlandish moments. And I love outlandish stuff. Smiling Friends is one of the best shows on TV, so that's my type of style. There are just so many inconsistencies with this story, with this vibe, tone, and style that I couldn't quite get on board with. I don't think it's a bad film by any means. It's just trying to do so much, and ultimately, I don't know if it did anything very well, just a few things fairly well. That said, I could see audiences having a lot of fun with this, so I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Did you like M3GAN 1 or M3GAN 2.0? M3GAN! Also, if you want to drop that like, share this video, that would be awesome. M3GAN 2.0 completely shifts the overall tone of this franchise, focusing less on the horrific elements of the first. While the AI influence is somewhat horrifying on its own, this film is almost purely a comedic action flick. Our sarcastic and lively lead keeps this sometimes stale plot afloat, and the entire vibe of the sequel is hilariously over the top. There's plenty of fun to be had, but it can't quite keep itself together all throughout. And so, yeah, that's where this is a weird movie to review, to be honest with you, but I'm sure there will be plenty of memes and plenty of M3GAN poses like the first movie. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next review.